22 years ago, I came home from a 10-hour shift at the shipyard in Portland to find my apartment unnervingly still. No laughter from the living room, no smell of dinner, just a scrap of paper on the counter. It read, "I need to live my own life. This isn't for me. Don't try to find me. Claire." That was it. After 8 years of marriage and 3 kids, Claire walked out. Lucas was 6, Emma was 4, and Noah had just turned 2. She packed her things while I was hauling cargo containers, left the kids with my dad, and flew off to Florida with some bartender named Tyler she'd met at a beach festival. My father had called me twice that morning, but I was supervising crane work and couldn't answer. When I finally called him back during my break, he just said, "Claire dropped the kids off, said there was an emergency." By the time I got home and saw the note, she was already halfway across the country. I tried her cell disconnected. Her sister claimed she knew nothing. Claire's parents, at first shocked, quickly started spinning excuses. Maybe I wasn't giving her the emotional support she needed. Maybe she was finding herself. Her mother even suggested I should be more understanding. I hung up and cut contact. That first night was brutal. Noah cried himself hoarse. Emma kept asking when Mommy's vacation would be over. Lucas sat silently by the door, waiting. I didn't sleep, just held them, changed diapers, made grilled cheese sandwiches because I didn't know what else to cook, and wondered how the hell was going to keep us afloat. I'd worked in storms, handled welding jobs in 110-degree heat, and patched holes at 2 a.m., but nothing prepared me for raising 3 little kids alone. Still, I've never been one to fold. I switched to the sunrise shift, 4:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., so I could pick them up from school and daycare. My foreman, a gruff old Navy vet named Carl, took one look at me that week and said, "Don't even think about quitting. We'll work around your schedule. Your crew's got your back." He rearranged shifts, covered for me when the preschool called, and never once made me feel like less of a man for showing up at parent-teacher conferences with grease still on my hands. The divorce was quick. Claire didn't contest it, didn't appear in court. I got full custody, the apartment, and my pickup. She disappeared completely, so child support was a non-issue. I didn't want her money anyway. The early years were exhausting. Explaining to a kindergartner why his Mother's Day gift had to go to Grandma. Sitting through Emma's ballet recital knowing she'd scan the crowd for a face that wasn't there. Noah barely remembered her, but Lucas and Emma carried the hurt. I never trashed Claire in front of them. Didn't have to. Kids figure out fast who shows up for birthday parties, who takes them camping, who teaches them to ride bikes and fixes midnight fevers. Dating, forget it. My life was work, homework help, and weekends at the park or the science museum. In those first 6 years, I went on maybe 4 dates. Every time, I said plainly, my kids come first, second, and third. Most women said they understood. Most didn't. Then I met Natalie. I was at urgent care with Emma. She'd sprained her ankle during soccer practice. Natalie was the physician's assistant who examined her. Emma, 12 at the time, and way too quick with her words, looked Natalie dead in the eye and said, "You're pretty. My dad's single." I wanted to crawl under the exam table, but Natalie just smiled and said, "Well, your dad's pretty handsome himself. But right now let's see about that ankle." On the discharge papers, tucked behind the treatment instructions, she'd slipped her number. She slipped me her number between the discharge papers and Emma's care instructions. I waited a week before calling. When I did, I laid it all out plainly. I've got 3 kids. Their mother walked out on us. I work at the shipyard. I'm not looking for someone to be a mother to them. I've been doing that just fine. But if you'd like to grab dinner, I'd like to take you out. She respected the honesty. We dated for 2 years before I introduced her to the kids. By then, Lucas was 14, Emma was 12, and Noah was 10. I sat them down first, just me and them, and told them I'd met someone. Lucas's first question hit like a punch. Is she going to leave, too? I told him I couldn't promise what anyone else might do, but I could promise that no matter what happened, I'd never be the one to walk away. Natalie was incredible with them. She never tried to replace anyone, she just fit into our lives naturally. She came to Lucas's basketball games, helped Emma build her science fair volcano, and taught Noah how to make lasagna from scratch. She earned their trust slowly, with patience and presence. We got married when Noah was 11. It was a small ceremony at a park by the Willamette River, just close friends and family. The kids were part of the wedding party. That day, Emma, 13 at the time, pulled me aside and said, "Dad, She's the mom we should have had from the start. I'm not ashamed to say I cried right there. The teenage years passed in a blur. Lucas joined the trades. Becoming a welder, he makes more than I do now. Emma went to college and became a school counselor, saying she wants to help kids who don't have anyone in their corner. Noah is now in his final year of university, studying mechanical engineering. My kids turned out better than I ever dreamed, and Claire had nothing to do with it. We never heard from her again. Not one birthday card. Not a single Christmas call. 4 years. It was as if she'd vanished. We only knew she was still around because her sister would sometimes slip and mention she was living the dream in Florida with Tyler. Eventually, we stopped asking. She became nothing more than a footnote in our family's story. Then last Thursday happened. I was in the garage changing the brakes on Natalie's Subaru. Natalie was inside making a roast for dinner. It was just us. Our kids all lived on their own now, but still nearby. We'd been finalizing plans for Emma's wedding. She got engaged 6 months ago to a solid guy named Brian, who treats her like gold. The doorbell rang. Natalie called out, "I'll get it." Then I heard her say, in that cautious but polite tone, "Can I help you?" A voice I hadn't heard in 22 years replied, "I'm looking for him. I'm his wife, his first wife, Claire." I dropped the socket wrench. It clanged on the concrete. My blood went from normal to boiling in seconds. I walked to the door, wiping my hands on a rag, and there she was. Time had not been kind to Claire. She looked every bit of 50, and then some hair thinned and streaked with grey, clothes worn and faded, a single battered suitcase at her side. "I know this is unexpected," she began, her voice shaky. "Unexpected." I kept my tone steady, but Natalie stepped closer, resting her hand lightly on my arm. "No, unexpected is bumping into someone at the hardware store. This is audacious. I know you're angry," she said. "I'm not angry, Claire. I haven't been angry at you for a long time. You're nothing to me now. Less than nothing. Get off my porch." She started crying the same theatrical sobs she used to turn on when she wanted something. "Please, I just need to talk to you." To the kids, "I made a mistake." "A mistake?" I laughed, but without humor. "A mistake is forgetting to pay the water bill. You abandoned 3 kids. That's not a mistake, it's a character flaw. Tyler left me," she blurted out. 5 years ago. He met someone younger. I lost everything in the divorce. I've been living in my car. I have nowhere else to go. You're my family." Natalie actually laughed at that, a sharp, incredulous sound. "Family? Lady, you don't know the meaning of the word. Who are you?" Claire's tears stopped quick, replaced by the same edge she used to wield like a weapon. "I'm his wife." Natalie stepped forward, calm but solid as a bulkhead. "I'm the one who stayed. The one who raised your children. The one who earned the right to be called family." Claire turned back to me. "Please let me see them. They're my children." "No." The word came out hard and final. "They're my children. I was there for every fever, every nightmare, every heartbreak, every triumph. You were just the one who brought them into the world. You can't keep them from me. I have rights. You have nothing," I said. "You forfeited any claim when you walked out that door 22 years ago, and they're adults now. If they want to see you, that's their choice, but you won't reach them through me or inside my home." Just then, Lucas's pickup rolled up the drive. He was dropping by to return my socket set from a repair he'd been doing on his boat trailer. He stepped out, spotted the scene on the porch, and his whole body went on alert. 6'2", 200 pounds of shipyard muscle, and every inch of it ready to stand between us and trouble. "Everything okay, Pops?" he asked, walking up and naturally positioning himself between Natalie and me and the woman at the door. Claire's face lit up. "Lucas, oh my God. Look at you. So handsome. So grown up." He stared for a beat, puzzled. Then his eyes hardened as it clicked. "You're her." Not a question, a statement. "I'm your mother." "No, you're not. My mother is standing right there next to my father. You're just some stranger who looks like she needs help." He glanced down the street. "There's a shelter about 10 miles north. Have a good night." He walked past her like she wasn't there, handed me the socket set, kissed Natalie on the cheek, and said, "Ma, you need me to stick around?" Natalie shook her head. "We're fine, honey." Lucas looked at me. "Pops, nah, son, drive safe." He left without so much as a backward glance. Claire stood there, stunned. "He doesn't even know me." "That's what happens when you abandon a 5-year-old, I said. "They forget you. Or, in his case, they decide to. Now leave, or I call the cops." She backed away, muttering threats about coming back, claiming she had rights, insisting this wasn't over. 10:43 later that week. Lucas called me. I could hear her voice in the background, shrill and accusing, ranting about parental alienation and how I'd poisoned them against her. I told him I was on my way, but he said, "No, Pops, I got this." From what his crew told me later, he handled it like a pro. "Calm as you please," he told his guys to take an early break. Then turned to face her. "You're trespassing on a shipyard. That's a crime. You're also harassing me at work. That's another crime." She tried to sputter something, but he cut her off. "If you want to teach your kids about family, maybe you should have stuck around. I'll tell mine about choosing character over comfort." She stormed off, yelling something about suing for grandparents' rights. Lucas just laughed. "Good luck with that," he called after her. "You weren't even a parent, let alone a grandparent." But she wasn't done. Thursday, she found Emma at the elementary school where Emma teaches. She waited until recess, when Emma was outside with her class, and started calling to her over the fence crying, putting on a scene in front of 25 second graders. Emma froze for a split second. Then her face hardened. "You need to leave, now," she said, voice low but sharp. "That's Natalie. You're a stranger disrupting my workplace and scaring my students. Leave or I'll have the school resource officer escort you out and maybe book you while they're at it." Claire tried the tears again. "Emma, baby, I'm sorry. I was young. You were 28. Emma cut in. "That's not young. That's selfish. And now what? 49. Old enough to know better than to ambush someone at work." Emma's voice wavered for half a breath. "You want the truth? I used to dream you'd come back. I used to imagine what I'd say, how I'd forgive you." Just then, Noah, who had stopped by the school to drop something off, walked up. He froze mid-step when he saw Claire. "Noah, I know who you are, or who you were," he said evenly. "Claire, right? Not mom, not mother. I'm your mother. Biologically, sure. But let's be real, you're a stranger. I don't know your favorite color, your middle name, your birthday. You don't know mine either. You don't know that I'm allergic to shellfish, that I play guitar, that I'm graduating magna cum laude with a degree in mechanical engineering. You don't know that Dad hauls cargo at the Portland shipyard." Her mouth opened, but Noah didn't give her the chance. "Cruel." He let out a dry laugh. "Cruel was leaving 3 kids under 6. Cruel was never sending a birthday card, never calling to see if we were even alive. Cruel was disappearing until you needed something. We're not cruel, we're indifferent. You trained us to live without you. Turns out, we got really, really good at it." He walked away without looking back, leaving Claire rooted in place. That night, all 3 kids came over for dinner. We needed to talk about it as a family. Lucas was still tense. "She's escalating. Pops, showing up at Emma's school. That's crossing a line." I nodded. "Yeah, but I also want to know her endgame. She doesn't strike me as sentimental. She wants something." Lucas leaned back. "Nobody shows up after 22 years without an angle. She said she's broke, said it herself. My guess, she's looking for money or a place to crash." Emma added. "She told me she's been living in her car." "Not our problem," Noah said flatly. "She had 22 years to be a parent. She chose Florida and Tyler instead. Now Tyler's gone, and suddenly we're family. Forget that." I called my lawyer right away. He laughed. "This is the most ridiculous lawsuit I've ever seen. She has no case. She abandoned them. You have full custody, and they're all adults. This will get tossed out immediately, but I'll handle it. Might even countersue for harassment." Update 2. 1 week later. The lawsuit was dismissed. Took the judge exactly 10 minutes to read it. Glance at Claire, who showed up representing herself, and say, "Ma'am, you abandoned 3 minor children 22 years ago. Case dismissed." But she wasn't done. "She tried poisoning my son's engagement. She told his fiance's family that Lucas was marrying into a broken, dysfunctional home with a violent, controlling father who had turned innocent kids against their loving mother. Warren's parents, good people who'd known us for 3 years, called Emma immediately. They didn't believe a word of it, but they were concerned about what this clearly unstable woman might do before the wedding. That was it. I was done playing defense. I hired a private investigator. Took him exactly 2 days to dig up her whole mess. Claire had been spinning this sob story about losing her 3 kids and husband in a tragic accident. The pie brought statements, screenshots from social media, even a GoFund campaign where she claimed to be raising money for their memorial. I called my lawyer. "Is this fraud?" "Oh, absolutely. Why a fraud if she used GoFund? And it shows a clear pattern of deception. That'll strengthen your restraining order request." We filed for restraining orders, all 5 of us. Natalie included, since Claire had started calling her as well. In court, my lawyer laid it out. The unannounced school visits, the frivolous lawsuit, the calls to employers, the lies to in-laws, and finally, Your Honor, we'd also like to submit evidence that Miss Fletcher has been fraudulently claiming her children are deceased to solicit money from sympathetic individuals in Florida. Claire's lawyer's head snapped toward her. He clearly hadn't heard this before. The judge reviewed the exhibits, screenshots of Facebook posts where Claire called herself a grieving mother, the GoFundMe page that had raised a few $1,000s. Claire's defense: I was depressed. I didn't know what I was doing. The judge didn't even blink. You were too depressed for 22 years to call your children, but not too depressed to commit fraud. I'm granting all 5 restraining orders. Miss Fletcher, you are to remain at least 500 feet away from all petitioners. No contact, no calls, no emails, no social media, no third-party communication. If you violate this order, you will be arrested. Noah, standing next to me, muttered just loud enough for her to hear. We learned to live without you, and we got really good at it. The bailiff had to escort her out while she screamed threats down the hallway. The judge added an extra year to the restraining order just for her outburst. Outside the courthouse, my family stood together. Lucas, Emma, Noah, Natalie, and me. We'd won, but it didn't feel like a victory. It just felt heavy. You okay, Pops? Noah asked. Yeah, kid. Just thinking about how different life could have been if she'd just stayed being a mother. Update. 2 weeks later. I wasn't planning to post again, but you all deserve to know how it ended. Claire was arrested last week not for violating the restraining order. She'd actually kept her distance. No, the Florida DOP picked up the fraud case. Turns out, when you raise money through GoFundMe under false pretenses and it crosses state lines, it becomes a federal matter. She's looking at serious time. Her public defender reached out to my lawyer, asking if we'd write character letters for her. He said she'd told him we'd all conspired against her, that we poisoned the kids against her, and that Natalie was some gold digger who stole her life. And I realized she actually believes it. She's rewriting history in her head. In her version, she's the victim. She left to protect the kids from me. She stayed away because I threatened her. The lies she told to strangers, she's convinced herself they're true. What do you want me to say to that? I asked him. Nothing, he said. I just wanted you to know some of us knew the truth all along. You're a good man. He was right. Last night, we had Emma's wedding. Small ceremony in our backyard, just family and close friends. She looked absolutely radiant. Warren's a good man, treats her like gold. His parents were there, and they pulled me aside to say they were proud to be joining our real family. During the father-daughter dance, Emma whispered, "Thank you, Dad." For what? I asked. For being both parents when I only had one. For never making us feel like we were missing anything. Then Lucas stood up and added, "And to the woman who came into our lives when we needed her most, who never tried to replace anyone, but instead created her own place in our hearts, who showed up to every game, every recital, every graduation not because she had to, but because she wanted to. Tamar, our real mother." Natalie broke down crying. Happy tears, she assured everyone. Not once did anyone mention Claire. She didn't exist in our celebration. She was less than a ghost. She's in federal custody now. My real family is stronger than ever. We survived abandonment, thrived despite it, and came out the other side intact. We didn't need her then, and we sure as hell don't need her now. The restraining orders are permanent. The kids have blocked her on everything. Her sister says she's been transferred to a federal facility pending trial. She's facing 5 to 10 years for wire fraud. And us, we're planning Christmas. Natalie wants to go big this year, all the trimmings. We've learned that time is too short to waste on people who choose not to be family. The FBI got involved because her scam crossed state lines and used electronic communications. My kids are in therapy and doing great. Natalie, she's the strongest woman I know. She took on 3 broken kids and loved them whole. She's the real MVP here. To the men raising kids alone, you've got this. It's brutal sometimes, but you've got this.